Alright, so getting ready for our persuasive essay we're going to be writing in a couple days. We are going to hold our final class debate. Over the weekend you had some articles that pertained to the debatable topic, and you had to choose which side you wanted to argue. You had to make a claim. Our two possible claims were women should be allowed to compete with men in sports, or women should not be allowed to compete. Just like the other day, when we discussed our first topic, we've divided up into sides, which you got to choose, and we also have our four listeners, our judges. They are going to listen to the arguments that both sides present, and then at the end, they are going to make a decision as to which side made the stronger argument, okay? When we're discussing, keep in mind, this is not based on your personal opinion, but what we're looking at is the evidence that you can give to back up your argument. Each team, each side has a magic marker. Make sure that your speaker has the marker when they are speaking, otherwise you're out of turn. And also, this side over here, since we're kind of lopsided, make sure y'all don't forget about your back row over there. Give them an opportunity to speak too. And at the same time, y'all ask. When you have something to say, speak up. I'll try to regulate the discussion, but for the most part, this is your chance to defend your claim. Okay?
They don't want none. They're back there hiding.
All right. We're going to start over here. Someone over here is going to stand up. Stand up so everybody can see and hear you. And make your team's claim.
Women shouldn't be allowed to play in men's leagues because there is a physical build difference in the gender.
Okay. And we're going to come back over here real quick and get this side's claim.
Well, the reason why women should be allowed to play sports because most of them like sports like football and the Olympics and stuff, and they can just show men how brilliant they can be.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I felt that.
All right, let's see. All right, y'all have the floor.
Alright. You want me to do it? Alright.
In a recent article that was given to us by the lovely Miss Pounders, there were tests done on both men and women's blood, and men have an average of 13.6 to 17.5 grams of hemoglobin per deciliter in their blood. Women have 12 to 15. The ratio is 0.88 to 0.89. While the maximum oxygen consumption statistics are harder to measure and harder to come by, if you compare them for four accomplished long-distance runners of each gender, they average 72.7 for women and 82.1 for men. 72.7 is about 89% of 82.1. So in layman's terms, men take in more oxygen, thus they can have more endurance, and the women, and they can run longer, stuff like that. So, in other words, women just can't keep up in different, not just running, but in other sports as well. So,
Okay. Anybody over there want to add to that?
y'all got anything? Come on, back me up. Okay. We got nothing, Miss P.
All right.
Oh,
Something to go with that?
In one of the
Listen, guys.
articles, it says across dozens of sports, women's world speed records constantly fall 10% short of men's records.
Okay.
yeah.
Why is that important? Explain to them the point you're making with that.
If you want to put women in men's sports, they have to be able to compete physically and competitively for it to matter. Otherwise, you're just putting them on a team so that they can just sit there and pretty much just say that they're on a men's team. It's not really gonna make any kind of big difference.
Okay? Alright. Here we go over here. Anything in response to their statements?
Well, given the statistics that was given by those people, there is an overlap in the men and women's hemoglobin account, actually. You have a range from 13.6 to 15.5 of men and women that are together in the same amount. So, just given by that statistic, there could be a chance that women could compete in different sports. Maybe not in every sport, but I believe that women could compete in some sports. Now, a woman might not be 6'6", 250 pounds and play linebacker, but could a woman kick a football and play kicker? Could she be a knuckleball pitcher in baseball where she doesn't have to throw as hard?
Okay. You may want to add to that. Alright. Do we have a response?
Was the, so.
Alright, listen, they just, okay, you just brought the point that physically there are limitations placed on women. Correct? That was your point. Alright, to which they responded that maybe that means that women might be limited in some areas, but not in all areas. And he gave some examples, which were playing a kicker on a football team, or
Where are you going with this?
okay, I'm just making sure you understand
Oh, no,
what,
we got it.
making sure, okay, alright, so you
Yeah.
ready?
Yeah,
Alright, go.
okay. One of the examples given was a woman can kick. Yes, but then you would have to put coaches and staff on sports teams in a position to say, okay, we have this girl who wants to play who can kick, but then we have a guy who can play who can kick just as good. Would you give the spot to the girl just because she's a girl? Just because it may make news and give you some more money? Because that's taking away a spot from a guy as well. So that's not really a fair trade-off. You know what I'm saying? Dakota?
And also, at the same time that the woman is kicking, you have to think they've already set regulations to protect men who are genetically built bigger than women. And at the same time, while she is kicking, there are 6'5", 6'6", 350-pound men running at her at full speed. And you gotta think, can a 175-pound woman that's like 6'2", can she take a hit like that and be able to get back up whenever full-grown men can't take hits like that and get back up?
Okay, you may have add anything.
You dare turn that camera, I got something.
Okay,
Alright,
Put it on this table up here.
using the example of the kicker getting taken out, Dakota, that was nice. That would also, different sports like that, it would put men in an awkward position because, like, okay, let's take, for example, boxing, okay? If a dude and a chick were in a ring boxing each other, that puts the guy in an awkward position because you're like, you know, can't hit a girl, but then the girl's going to be wailing on him. And that's not fair to him because he's put it, and football is the same thing because kickers get hit. I mean, that's just part of it. But they're not supposed to, but it happens. And that would put men in an awkward position, and yeah, it's awkward. So shut up.
okay. Can you elaborate what you mean by putting them in an awkward position?
I mean, you're not gonna just take out a girl in a boxing ring or on a football field.
Everybody's been raised, most people have been raised by their parents, you know, not to hit girls because they're a little bit more feminine than men are. Most of the time men don't mind getting physical in sports and stuff like that. That's why they put girls in their own leagues so that physically they can match up against someone and not be the underdog per se all the time.
Right. What would be the biggest problem with men worrying about that social idea it's wrong to hit a girl? How would that hinder sports? Competitive sports.
It's not going to be as competitive.
Oh,
Thank you. Somebody above knows that to pass it on.
If the women are playing on the same level as the guys, for like if they're in a practice or something, like for football, the guy wouldn't be as prone to going after the girl, and it wouldn't be treating the girl fairly. And if the girl is wanting to play with all the guys, then and she's not treated fairly in practice, they wouldn't know for like a difference if it was just on the field, and they could be going after her, and she wouldn't have the same ability as the guys would. She could be knocked down and knocked out, and then she wouldn't have anything else to do because she'd be gone. Because she wouldn't have practiced the same skill as the guys. Because they would make her think her to be more vulnerable than them.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Do we have a response to that?
I think girls can play football, and that's their choice, and they can go up against a guy. And if a guy and a girl had the same ability as kicking, then they should just try out just like two guys would. And if the girl's better, then she should go play. And if she wants to be hit and then running after her, that's her choice, but she could get hurt as easily as a guy could, so it don't really matter. And then boxing, this girl from New York beat a guy in it, so nothing to say that a girl can't beat a guy.
Okay. Anybody else?
The rules I believe you're referring to is probably the targeting rule. Is that what you're talking about? Where you said that there's been a lot of good rules implemented or whatever for the safety of men. Yeah, it's probably the targeting rule, which has to do with a defenseless receiver or a defenseless quarterback, which has nothing to do with, it's irrelevant to the point of a woman kicking, because the targeting rule isn't affecting that. And also there are rules, I guess I'd say limiting, hitting the kicker is limiting the odds of a woman being hit. So there are rules in place that would protect the woman, which to me would make it even easier for her to kick, if there are rules that are in effect of protecting the kicker. So, yeah. And, oh yeah, the awkward position. How you're talking about how if a dude is competing against a woman, he could put the guy in an awkward position, but once they're in the same competition field, once they're in the same playing field or whatever, they're fair game. It doesn't matter the race, it doesn't matter the gender, it doesn't matter, they're a competitor. So.
All right. Let me hear one of y'all's pieces of evidence supporting women in sports. Anybody? Come on, Dee. Dustin, give me one of your pieces of evidence.
Alright, what's the question?
Give me one of your supporting pieces of evidence.
About,
Why women should be able to compete.
well, it should, I mean, it's all on the same level. It's not just because a guy may be stronger. I mean, that's not always the same in the same concept. I mean, girls, they got weightlifting leagues just like guys, and you know, they're all in the same league. It has nothing to do with gender.
Somebody help him out a little bit. Go ahead, Kurt.
Well, when people
say that girls can't compete with other guys in some sports, I think about Danica Patrick, how, you know, when she first joined the NASCAR racing, whatever. Oh, she was great. Ain't no telling how many times in the first race. Then she came back and made the pole at one of the biggest races in NASCAR, which was Daytona, at the fastest time. So when you say girls can't compete, you look at that. She beat 42 other men. And I'd say the redneck's biggest sport, which would be a guy's favorite sport to do, would be race. I'd say. So, that's all I got.
Okay. Would y'all like to respond?
Yes.
On the thing that Kirk said about the pole,
Take them.
the thing about the pole is that when you're qualifying in NASCAR, you're the only one out on the track. It's not really me versus you type of thing. It's kind of me versus the clock. There's no one out there to get up next to you and bump you or throw you off your game or anything like that. It's mostly just like just normal, just driving, seeing how fast you can do it. And the thing is, like, even though she is racing with men, she isn't doing it competitively. She hasn't won a race yet in the Sprint Cup. Out of however so many races that she's already done.
Anybody else?
This is really a knock on race car driving, but it doesn't take a whole lot of physical skill to drive a car. I drove to school today. Yeah.
Go ahead.
And another reason was given was that women, if they want to play, then that is their right. They should be able to play. They also have the right to breed. But if we put them on a football field, we'd be taking that right away.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Anybody else want to add to Billy's profound statement there? All right.
Alright, back to what you said about coming to school this morning on the racing subject. Did you come 180 to school today with cars side by side?
Yes.
Going around
Yeah. Matter of fact, that is
20-foot curves and stuff. Well, I mean, it's kind of hard when you're the only female in the race and you have no other choice but to, I mean, you're out there all alone and you have to dodge all these other guys that are trying to wreck you because they don't like the fact that you're beating them or about to pass them, or, you know, that's why she hasn't won a race yet. It's because guys are so jealous and, I don't know, I guess you could say greedy about how they want to win, that they would do anything to knock her off or get her out of the way.
Okay. Anything y'all want to add about that?
Well, the thing Kirk said about men wrecking her, they do that to men. It's not like that they just did it to a girl because she is a girl, but they could have. But that's the point in women wanting to compete in men's sports. If you put a girl in football, let's say she's a wide receiver, the quarterback may not throw her the ball ever just because of the fact, whether she's open or not, just because of the plain fact that she is a girl, and he doesn't feel like she should be able to play with them. I think that if girls want to compete in certain sports, then there's probably more than just that one girl wanting to compete in that sport, and they should go about a way to where that they can form their own league, whether it be race car, baseball, basketball, football. They should form their own league.
Okay. Anybody else? All right.
It's 2 on 15.
All right, Carly.
Okay. Well, I think that maybe she's a man, they were playing soccer and their league got cut. She wanted to play, so she moved to a different school and dressed up as a boy and tried out and made it and played with the boys. And they had a big rival game. And without her, she kicked the winning point and they would not have won. So if they would not let the girl play.
Miss Anderson,
Yes,
can I see Destiny, please?
sure. Go
And
ahead.
the boys didn't want to pass it to her at first, but then they realized that she was good enough to play with them. And at the end, they all loved her because she won the game for them.
Okay. Anybody else over here?
Can I ask him a question?
Sure. Go ahead.
So if a woman's skill level was there and she wanted to compete with men, would you say that she should be allowed to? If she was good enough to and she wanted to, should she be allowed to?
Yes.
You should. Yes.
The thing is not the skill level, because a bunch of girls do have the same skill level or a better skill level than guys at the sport. It's the genetic makeup, the physical difference that kind of separates them back. Because you know, men can grow to be 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot. There's not many girls out in the world that are 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot tall, 260, 280 pounds.
Okay.
Okay, and, another example given was a movie. That's Hollywood. I can win the Super Bowl in Hollywood if I wanted to. And I'm 5'9", 200 pounds, running like a 5'6". So, anybody else got anything?
All right, let's hear from Jennifer. Give us some of your supporting evidence. Go ahead. Listen up, because she's kind of quiet. Why did you choose to argue on the side that women should not be allowed? What made you take that side?
Because even though if women wanted to play in
Speak
say,
up.
football or something, or baseball, they usually already have their own sports, like softball, and they got girls soccer. And, I mean, girls have their separate sports, and I mean, why would you want to tell me just to prove yourself?
All right. Say that one last statement loud so they can hear y'all. Listen up.
No, I guess the only reason they would want to be in the men's sport is to prove themselves, that they're better.
Okay, so trying to make a point, despite the fact that women have their own leagues to play in already. All right? Y'all want to add to that?
That's what?
Women having their own leagues.
Baseball, women do have their own league, softball, and there's not that big of a difference between it except for like mostly the way that they pitch. In baseball, you can have men throwing 90 to 100, and in softball, it usually 70, 65, 70, and there's a size differential in the ball. I'm not saying that women couldn't hit a baseball, because they could. I'm just don't know if they could throw a baseball fast enough for them to, in order to be competitive.
Okay.
You say women should have their own league. How many of y'all go home and watch a World Series in women's softball professionally? Or see WNBA? How many of y'all keep up with the WNBA season, or anybody know about it?
It was on ESPN.
Who won it this year?
They covered that?
Who won the WNBA?
I don't know. I just know the final.
Who won the NBA finals?
Boy.
Alright, exactly. My point exactly. You say you want women to have their own league, but yet they're overlooked. So if you was to combine them together, I mean, women would be getting more looks, as in championship rings and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then women have their own leagues. That's just like cheerleading and dance. Boys are allowed to cheerlead or dance with them. It's co-ed for both of them. They don't separate them. So why separate in any other sport? I mean, they're equal. They can do exactly the same thing. Boys are just as good as cheerleading as girls are. So girls can be just as good as guys are. And then pitching, there's a woman by the name of Jackie Mitchell who struck out Babe Ruth and this other dude, I don't know his name, can't pronounce it. But anyways, so they can pitch competitive enough and they're good at it.
Okay. Anybody else?
Pause it.
Go ahead.
I'm good.
Anybody else?
That's what she puts the bid on our team on the spot.
All right.
Squad's got something.
With the deal of publicity for women's athletics, I'm sorry, but I would rather see Michael Jordan take off from the free throw line than a girl come up under the goal and lay it up. I mean, this is more exciting. People are gonna do that. So, I mean,
It goes back to
Yeah.
physical nature.
yeah, it does. It goes back to the physical nature. I'm pretty sure Brittany Griner doesn't want any Michael Jordan or LeBron. Either one.
Okay.
No,
He's 53 years old.
he's still smashing. LeBron, my MJ, whatever.
All right.
He's still smash.
So the point you're making is that
Here, I'm gonna say one
It's more exciting to watch men than it is to watch women.
okay.
Yeah, and that's not really a question of should the leagues be combined or anything. That's like, it's not really anything we can do about it. I mean, yeah, we could, but when women play. Because coaches still have to play the best 5 or the best 11 or the best 9. So, I mean, if they're sitting on the bench, they're taking a spot that could be occupied by a man while they could be in their own league playing.
Say that again, Billy. Make that. Tell y'all. Listen up.
If you have a woman sitting on the bench that's not playing, that spot could be occupied by a man while that very woman sitting on the bench could be in her own league playing. So, yeah, it's not fair to the man or the woman.
Okay. Gonna add anything?
We're good.
All right.
Back to the cheerleading things, like with stunning or tumbling, if a guy's dedicated, he probably would be better because he's stronger. He could throw more stuff and he could throw higher tumbling, therefore throwing more. I mean, so they would be better than the girls.
I don't know anything about that, but okay.
Okay. Over here.
You got something to say?
All right. Give another piece of evidence y'all have got. Let's hear from Parrish. Pass it back to your back row back there. Or let's hear from the back row a little bit.
In football, size does matter, but endurance level matters too. So, like, a girl could get hit in football, but she can have a strong endurance to where she want to get back up and compete.
Okay. Anybody want to add to that?
I don't have nothing to say about that, but I can.
Okay.
Alright, back to what he said, he said that if a woman was sitting on the bench and not playing for that team, I mean, she could be, it'd be better for her to be on her own, like in her own league playing. But women don't have their own professional softball leagues, there's not one. There's a USA team that plays, once every 4 years or something, but there's not a professional softball league. There's not a professional women's football league. So therefore, there's no league for them to participate in. The only league would be basketball. There is a WNBA, but all the girls that compete in that are overlooked. like, honestly, I mean, unless you hear about, you never hear about the WNBA. Sometimes you'll hear something about women's college basketball, like Connecticut, because they win every year, but other than that, you don't hear anything about WNBA. Like, I can't name 4 teams off the top of my head from the WNBA. So that's what I'm saying, they're all overlooked, and I'm a sports fan, they're overlooked. So women who are good, like, I can think of Candace Parker off the top of my head, or Brittany Griner, or some of these other women who are good at basketball, they want to be noticed for the things they achieve. So therefore, they would like to compete. Yeah. And if they're good enough to, why not let them?
Okay? Anything else?
You know, like Billy said people would rather see Michael Jordan jumping from the free throw line and doing a slam dunk rather than seeing a girl run up do a layup. Well, I mean, to run up do a layup, you actually have to get past people and get up to the rim and do a layup. I mean, 2 points is 2 points.
All right.
Style points.
It's 2 points or 2 points.
And then, all right. But if you saw a woman run up and do a slam dunk on Michael Jordan or somebody, y'all, I mean, you'd be on because y'all started paying more attention to that girl than you would Michael Jordan.
I think what you're trying to say is it wouldn't take a whole lot of a female athlete doing something pretty good to get some recognition for it. Okay? All right?
She might not be the one dunking, but what if she threw the half-court lob to Blake Griffin? What if that happened?
I could throw the half-court lob.
But did you?
Okay? All right. Anybody else have anything to add to that? All right. So we have focused on physical activity, endurance, whatever capability, and y'all have told me about wanting the right to get recognized if they deserve it. That would be a reason to let women play. Give me another reason supporting your argument. Y'all got another one?
Yeah.
All right.
Because I want to see somebody get straight dunked on. WNBA don't happen.